Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're wondering if the title was true or if it was just clickbait, it's true unfortunately. Basically today's video is going to be me talking about my experience over the last 6-ish months with having a missed period and just kind of my experience to share what's been going on in terms of my health. So if anyone else is dealing with a similar thing, to know that you are not alone. Basically, I have not had a true period since January of this year, and since it's impossible for me to be pregnant, I've had to investigate why I'm not getting it, and that is what I'm going to be discussing in this video. And since a huge part of it could be me potentially having polycystic ovarian syndrome, also known as PCOS, I wanted to just kind of talk about that and how people can manage that, and just talking about PCOS, talking about my experience with late or missed periods so I can help anyone else out there who's dealing with a similar problem. But just a little disclaimer before I start this video, I'm not a doctor, my experience is not going to be the same as yours, and anything I say in this video is just based on my own research and knowledge. And if you actually want to find out why your period's been irregular or you're missing it, I would go see an actual medical professional. This video is just to be relatable and share what's been going on with me. So basically, to go from the very beginning with my experience with just my period overall and why this is kind of now weird for me, I got my first period when I was 13. It took a little while to get regular, but it eventually did, and I would get it every month. Obviously, sometimes it would be like a little late, a little early, but overall it was like around every 28 to 30 days I would get it. And then starting in 2024, around the end of 2024, it started getting a little weird. It was lighter than usual, and it would come early or then late. And then my last true period I got beginning of January, like right before we went back to school after winter break. I had it, and then basically I just didn't get it. I waited for it in February. I thought, oh, it's just late, and then March came and went, didn't get it, in April, and I was starting to get concerned, so I started going to the doctor. And then May, June, and now July, I have not had a natural period. The reason why I say natural is because I did something called a withdrawal bleed, which I will get into later after I talk about basically what I discussed with my doctor, and that like basically induces a period. And so this is also why I have not posted a period day or week in my life in a little while, because I haven't had a period to document. It has been something I'm struggling with, especially as someone who's very like, I feel like I have health anxiety, so when something is wrong or out of the ordinary, I freak out. But thankfully I have gone to a lot of doctors about this just because I've been concerned about it, and had multiple ultrasounds, which has not been fun. Especially transvaginal ultrasounds has not been fun at all, to have to keep going to the doctor and like talking about the same thing over and over again, seeing as I haven't had like a natural period in around 6-7-ish months now. So basically what came out of me going to the doctor was we did the ultrasound, and my ovaries have a bunch of little cysts on them. They're not technically cysts. It's kind of a misnomer I've learned, because they're not cysts, they're just follicles that haven't ruptured yet, because essentially what's happening is I'm not ovulating, which is causing me to not get a period. So my estrogen levels aren't rising, which therefore makes my progesterone levels not rise and then drop, which creates a period. So the reason I have a bunch of little follicles on my ovaries are because they're not being released, which is what happens during ovulation, which is basically any follicles or like eggs essentially on your ovaries, they rupture or they release, and that's ovulation, and that's just not happening. So it's unclear whether or not a hormonal issue is causing the cysts, or the cysts are causing the hormonal issue that is causing me not to be getting my period. What I've heard from my doctors is that this is all apparently not, I don't know, I feel weird using the word normal, but basically it doesn't mean I'm never gonna get my period again, or like my fertility is bad or anything like that. It just means that right now my body is just kind of in this weird phase, and the cysts can go away, I can just start ovulating again, but I just keep rechecking my hormone levels with like blood work and things like that, and ultrasounds. So it has been a lot. There's a lot of different factors. I haven't been officially diagnosed with PCOS yet. I'm just in a kind of what is called an anovulatory cycle, or oligomenorrhea or something. I'll put it on the screen, but there's just like a bunch of different terms for basically when someone who typically menstruates after their first period is not getting their period, or just not ovulating for a while. All of my doctors have been super helpful in explaining it to me. Honestly, a lot of the time I have felt like I'm going in circles, because they've basically told me I don't fit the picture of what a typical person with PCOS is or looks like. PCOS is a spectrum like a lot of other conditions, and basically right now the criteria that I meet are the missed period and the kind of follicular cystic appearance of my ovaries. It's not painful at all, but yeah, typical other symptoms of PCOS are struggles with weight gain for no apparent reason, excessive acne, hair growth, high levels of testosterone, depression, anxiety, irritability. There's a bunch of symptoms of PCOS that I don't really meet the criteria for, but that are important to be aware of if you're dealing with a late or missed period, which is why it's been a little hard to get like an actual diagnosis of what's going on. Just to talk about missing your period in general, there are definitely a lot of things that can kind of throw your body off, especially as women. I feel like we have to be more attuned to our cycle because we literally have a hormonal cycle that men just don't go through. Like, men just kind of stay like this their whole lives, and women are like, woo, all the time. Like, every month with your cycle, you ovulate, then you have the luteal phase, and you get your period. It's a constant up and down. So women's bodies are definitely more sensitive to this kind of thing, and I can definitely think of a few things that might have thrown my body off. Stress is a huge factor that can throw off your body or cause you to start missing your period, because basically if your body feels like it's unsafe or that it can't like have a period, because like the point of a period is like to bring a baby naturally into this world. That's just like the very early primitive like basic reason why women get periods. It all has to do with eventually being able to have children. So if your body feels like it's not like a safe time for you to start thinking about that, it's gonna not shut down, that's the wrong word choice, but it's gonna hold off on ovulating and having your period for a while. So unfortunately, end of 2024 and then into this year 2025 was my senior year. College applications and decisions was an extremely stressful time, and it felt like there was always something going on. So I think just the accumulation of all the stress throughout high school and college applications really threw my body off. I mean, that's just a possible speculation. Something else that is a little sensitive for me to talk about, but I would love to get into in another video because I know it's something that a lot of people deal with, is just struggles with weight and eating, and also exercise. I feel like, and I can get into this in another video that isn't about periods but is instead about eating and whatever, I feel like that's just an ongoing struggle for me that has been for the past several years now. I think it's unfortunately very common, especially for teenage girls, to struggle with body dysmorphia and issues with their weight. But I've kind of just been struggling with my weight going up and down, not in significant amounts, but just basically like I go through phases where I eat really healthy. Like, for example, before homecoming, the homecoming dance of my senior year, I was really cutting back. I was trying to eat really clean and healthy and exercising a lot. And the problem with me is that I tend to take things to extremes in terms of eating. So I feel like I'm either having a last supper mentality, which is basically like, I'm gonna be good next week, so like let's shove everything in now, or super restrictive, like no carbs, only protein and veggies, eating as little as possible. Trust me, I know it's not healthy, and something I've been really working on to get my period back is trying to just have a more well-rounded, well-balanced diet, which is actually something I started implementing this semester. And I started realizing, okay, like you don't have to binge, but you don't have to also completely restrict, just find an even ground. But I am someone who is self-conscious about my weight, and you never know what's going on behind the scenes. I mean, I feel like in my vlogs, whatever, I always vlog myself, oh, I'm going for food with my friends, or I'm baking this, whatever, but you never really know how anxious someone is feeling about their food choices behind the scenes. So always be kind. But the problem was that the second I started trying to implement like a more healthy, well-rounded diet, the obsession with prom coming up hit me, and I started going to the gym way more and exercising in more extensive and extreme amounts than I was used to. And I did lose weight for prom. I was eating very healthy, more like very restricted. And obviously, like, it's not this all or nothing mentality. Like, I had breaks, like I would still bake, eat sugar, like eat carbs, like, you know what I mean? Like, it wouldn't be just a constant like restrictive periods, but I definitely was cutting back and changing my eating and exercise patterns that my body was used to over the last 6 months, especially, causing me to lose weight, and then after prom gain a little of it back, because once I don't have an event coming up anymore, then it's like, okay, I don't have to be as strict with my food choices. But unfortunately, just the mentality of dealing with all of that in general is something that I really struggle with as of recently as well. I just feel like it's something that never goes away with me, and I'd love to get into it in another video. That's not the point. The point is that changes with your diet and exercise and weight gain or loss can throw off your period and your hormonal cycle, because you need enough fat on your body to have a period because of estrogen and the hormones and all of that and the balance of that, and obviously nutrients to have your period. But on the flip side, too much sugar and too many unhealthy habits can also throw off your cycle. Also, to do with exercise, way too much exercise stresses your body out and basically can cause you to stop having a period. I am concerned that the reason I started not getting my period was because I just kind of threw myself into going to the gym all the time. Not to say I didn't exercise before, but it was just different for me, and I just kind of got obsessive with it. But additionally, not moving your body enough can also contribute. So it's all just a kind of delicate dance. Also, illnesses and travel and surgeries can throw off your period. So I was sick a few times the beginning of this year. I had a cold January, February-ish, and then I had another cold. I just feel like I kept getting hit with colds, and while obviously ultimately your body shouldn't be so sensitive that getting sick throws off your period. It's still a factor that can play into it. Some bodies are more sensitive than others. Same with starting new medications. Like, I feel like I've been experimenting with supplements because my iron levels were also low. Don't ask why. I wasn't even getting a period, so don't know why my iron levels would be low, but I had to start taking vitamins with iron in them. And I also had a couple of surgeries in February and March. I had my wisdom teeth out, and then I can also make a whole other video on this. I'm totally fine, but I had basically a cyst in my breast and had to get that removed with a lumpectomy. So it's been a fun 6 months. I'm making it sound worse than it was, but I'm fine, and it was all very minor. But anesthesia or surgeries or just anything like that can throw you off. I also had just gotten back from New York and Canada that I traveled from over winter break. I feel like I've been traveling a lot more than usual, which can also throw off your period, just different time zones, being on a plane. So there's a bunch of different factors, or it could just be something actually going on internally with you, which is what I've been trying to figure out. So it can be something with your thyroid that's throwing off your period, or even your pituitary, which all sounds really scary, but fortunately I've been getting the tests and the blood work and imaging to kind of see if that's the case, stay on top of that. And so basically that led me to, because I just like, you know, wanted to get a period to like see if it could kind of reset everything. This is my theory and where I'm at now, that a fake period is better than no period and might reset my whole body. So basically what I did was, and again, don't do this unless it's prescribed by a doctor, but my doctors thought that doing something called a withdrawal bleed would be good for me, which is basically where you mimic the hormone drop of progesterone that you get that causes you to bleed. So I took progesterone for about a week, and then the second I stopped taking that, I got a period for the first time since January, and I realized why was I wanting my period so badly. But the thing is, even though periods are annoying, they are a sign of health, so it is concerning when they go away. So it was very nice to like bleed. I never thought I'd be saying that, but it was nice to like see I could still get a period. And I guess just kind of mimicking that hormone drop of progesterone, it caused my body to have a period, and now we are basically waiting to see if I ovulate and start to have periods again naturally. Another concern I have is that my doctors might want to put me on birth control, because that basically just mimics the hormone cycles for you and can reset your body. Obviously everyone's different, do what you want, but personally I don't know if I feel comfortable being on birth control, because I've heard stories of side effects and like things like that, and I don't know if it's right for me. But basically the reason I'm making this video is because there's been a lot going on with my own health to do with my period that I thought you guys might find interesting, since that's what I talk about on my channel, and also relatable because I know a lot of people struggle with this, struggle with potentially having polycystic ovarian syndrome, and I've learned more about that than I ever knew before based on like all my experiences going to doctors. Just some general tips if you do actually have PCOS, and that I've even been trying to implement, because even though I haven't officially been diagnosed, it's still helpful because I kind of have some of the symptoms of it. Eat more protein, less carbs, and by less carbs I don't mean don't eat carbs, I mean don't eat like super sugary carbs like white bread or like cane sugar, that's really bad for you. I mean eat healthy carbs, focus on protein. Also light to moderate exercise regularly can be good for you. Checking hormones, making sure there's no major fluctuations, and then just the general treatments for PCOS like birth control is usually what ends up happening. Obviously consult with your doctor for all of this, but I will keep you guys updated. It has just been definitely a little frustrating dealing with this because, you know, I was getting my period every month. So the fact that I haven't gotten it, like I literally didn't have it all of second semester of senior year, and it just isn't a great feeling. It makes you feel like something's wrong almost. And like, even though we all complain about the constant cycle of the hormones and oh I have cramps and oh my boobs hurt now, like it kind of felt weird to be without it. If you're struggling with missing your period for a while, or having a late period, or just weird irregular periods, like even in February I had a little bit of spotting but it wasn't a period, it can be really frustrating. My biggest recommendation, like my big piece of advice, is go to the doctor, because they are going to be more helpful in terms of actually knowing what to do than I could ever be, and it's just more helpful. It makes you feel like you have a plan and you're not completely alone. So definitely consult with a medical professional and just try to stay attuned to your body and what it feels like it needs, and just calming down, trying to rid stress, having a good diet and exercise. But yeah, just hang in there because you're not alone. I've been dealing with this and I felt really bad that I haven't been able to make the usual kinds of videos that you guys like my period days and weeks in my life, but fingers crossed that everything works out. And if you're dealing with something similar, then my best wishes for you that your body regulates itself and things go back to normal soon. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope that just hearing me talk like this wasn't super boring for you and that you could relate. Well, I don't want you to relate, but like if you're dealing with something similar, I hope that you could feel less alone. Please make sure to like this video and also comment down below your experience with whatever you've been dealing with your period down below in the comments if you have been dealing with something and that's why you clicked on this video. And also please make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more girl issue videos, teen girl related videos, and period videos especially. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I love you guys. Bye!